The evening rush at Bella Vista, an upscale Italian restaurant in downtown Seattle, was in full swing. Marco Castelliano moved between tables with practiced efficiency, his white apron spotless despite the chaos of the dinner service. At 28, he'd been working in restaurants since high school, saving every spare dollar toward his dream of opening a community center in his neighborhood. A distinguished older gentleman in an expensive charcoal suit entered alone, his silver hair perfectly styled. Marco noticed him immediately, not because of his obvious wealth, but because of the way the man's eyes scanned the room with a mixture of uncertainty and resignation. The hostess, Jennifer, approached Marco with a grimace. "Table 12. He's deaf. Can you handle it, or should I give him to someone else?" Marco felt a familiar pang in his chest. "I've got him," he said quietly. As he approached the table, Marco watched the gentleman, perhaps in his late 60s, sit down stiffly, his jaw set as if bracing himself for disappointment. Marco had seen that expression before. Instead of speaking, Marco stepped into the man's line of sight and began signing. "Good evening. My name is Marco. Welcome to Bella Vista. May I bring you something to drink while you look at the menu?" The man's eyes widened, his composure cracking for just a moment. His hands moved hesitantly at first, as if unused to being understood in places like this. "You sign?" "Yes, sir," Marco signed with a warm smile. "My younger brother is deaf. I've been signing since I was 10 years old." For the first time that evening, the gentleman's shoulders relaxed. "I'm Richard," he signed. "I wasn't expecting, most places, they just point at the menu or write things down. Not here," Marco assured him. "We'll make sure you have a wonderful evening." Over the next hour, Marco attended to Richard with attentive care, conversing easily in ASL between courses. He learned that Richard was in town for business meetings but felt isolated in restaurants and hotels where few people could communicate with him. Marco shared stories about his brother, Lucas, who was now in college studying architecture. "What's going on at table 12? Jennifer whispered to Marco near the kitchen. "That guy's been here over an hour, and he keeps asking for you specifically." "Just having a conversation," Marco replied simply. At a nearby table, a younger man in designer clothes, Vincent Mercer, a regular known for his arrogant demeanor, watched the interaction with visible disdain. When Marco passed by, Vincent grabbed his arm. "Hey, is that old guy bothering you with all that hand-waving? I can have the manager move him if he's making other guests uncomfortable." Marco pulled his arm free, his voice steady but cold. He's communicating in American Sign Language, and no, he's not bothering anyone. "Is there something you need, Mr. Mercer?" Vincent smirked. "Just looking out for the ambience. People come here for a refined experience, not a sideshow." Marco felt anger rise in his throat but swallowed it. "Enjoy your meal, sir." He walked away before he said something that would cost him his job. When Marco returned to Richard's table, the older man was signing something into his phone. He looked up with an expression Marco couldn't quite read. "Everything all right?" Marco asked. Richard nodded, then signed slowly. "You remind me of why I do what I do. Most people see obstacles. You see people." As the evening wound down, Richard paid his bill and left a generous tip, along with a business card pressed into Marco's hand. The card read, "Richard Pemberton, CEO, Pemberton Technologies." Marco's heart skipped. Pemberton Technologies was one of the largest tech companies in the Pacific Northwest, known for innovative accessibility software. "If you're ever looking for a change," Richard signed as he prepared to leave, "we could use someone like you. Someone who understands that inclusion isn't just a policy, it's personal." Marco thanked him, though he couldn't imagine leaving the neighborhood where his family needed him. Still, something about Richard's sincerity stayed with him. 3 weeks later, a fire tore through Marco's apartment building in the middle of the night. Everyone escaped safely, but Marco's family lost nearly everything, including the $15,000 he'd saved over 5 years for his community center dream. His mother's medical equipment, his brother's specialized computer for school, their clothes and documents gone. Standing in the Red Cross shelter the next morning, Marco felt the weight of starting over crushing down on him. His mother held his hand, her face lined with worry. Lucas sat nearby, looking lost without the tools he needed for his classes. Marco's phone buzzed. An unknown number. Marco, this is Richard Pemberton. I heard about the fire on the local news and recognized your address from your information. Please call me. When Marco called back, Richard's assistant answered and patched him through via a video relay service. Richard's face appeared on screen, his expression grave with concern. I want to help, Richard signed through the interpreter. But more than that, I have a proposal. Within hours, Richard had arranged temporary housing for Marco's family in a furnished corporate apartment. But that was just the beginning. 3 months ago, the interpreter translated as Richard signed, my son, Christopher, was killed in a car accident. He was 35, my only child. He was deaf, like me. My late wife and I adopted him when he was 4, she passed 5 years ago. Since then, Christopher was all I had. Marco's heart broke for him. I'm so sorry. Christopher always wanted me to be more present in the deaf community, Richard continued. He said I hid behind my money and my work. He was right. When I met you, I saw what he saw, that the world needs more people who bridge divides naturally, without thinking about it. Richard explained that he'd been planning to establish a foundation in Christopher's name but had been paralyzed by grief. Now he wanted to move forward and he wanted Marco to help him. Christopher had a dream of creating spaces where deaf and hearing people could interact as equals, not just accessible spaces, but integrated ones. Community centers, educational programs, job training. Would you help me build that? As the program director, Marco was stunned. I'm a waiter. I don't have experience running. You have the most important qualification, Richard signed firmly. You see people first. Skills can be taught. Compassion like yours is rare. Over the following months, Marco worked alongside Richard, learning about non-profit management, fundraising, and program development. The Christopher Pemberton Foundation launched with 3 pilot community centers, including one in Marco's old neighborhood. They hired staff who were deaf and hearing, created youth programs, and offered free ASL classes. At the grand opening of the first center, Marco stood beside Richard as they addressed a crowd of over 200 people, with interpreters and real-time captioning ensuring everyone could participate equally. A few months ago, I walked into a restaurant expecting the same treatment I usually get, Richard signed to the crowd. Isolation disguised as service. Instead, I met someone who reminded me what my son always tried to teach me, that inclusion happens one person at a time, one moment at a time, one genuine connection at a time. He turned to Marco. You gave an old man a simple gift, dignity. The chance to be seen and heard. That gift changed everything. Marco's mother and Lucas sat in the front row, beaming with pride. Vincent Mercer, who'd read about the foundation in the newspaper, had actually showed up and approached Marco during the reception. I owe you an apology, Vincent said quietly. What I said that night at the restaurant, I was ignorant and cruel. Watching what you've built here. I'd like to donate to the foundation if you'll have it. Marco shook his hand. Everyone deserves a chance to grow. Thank you. As the celebration continued, Richard pulled Marco aside one final time. Christopher used to say that the world doesn't change through grand gestures, Richard signed. It changes when people choose kindness in small moments, even when no one's watching. You chose kindness. You changed my world. And now, together, we're changing others. Marco looked around at the bustling center, deaf and hearing children playing together, families taking ASL classes, young adults receiving job training. Lucas was already volunteering as a mentor. Sometimes, Marco reflected, the most powerful thing you can offer someone is the simplest. The acknowledgement that they belong, that they matter, that their voice, spoken or signed, deserves to be heard. That message, given freely on an ordinary Tuesday evening in a busy restaurant, had rippled outward in ways Marco never could have imagined. And it all started with seeing a person, not an obstacle. With offering respect, not pity. With building a bridge instead of ignoring a gap.
Hello everyone. If you are enjoying this video and finding it helpful, don't forget to support our channel. Please subscribe to our channel, press the like button, and share this video with your friends and family. Also, make sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming videos. We regularly upload amazing, informative, and entertaining content just for you. Your support means a lot to us and motivates us to bring even better content in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and welcome to our growing community.